Do you want to go to the next speaker? Oh, there it is, there.
Thanks, Madam Speaker. The motion that City Council amend Executive Committee recommendation number 3 by including the following comments in the City Manager's submission being made to the province related to the Municipal Elections Act. A, that the province should not proceed with amendments to the Municipal Elections Act to provide for ranked choice voting. B, that if the province does amend the Municipal Elections Act to provide for ranked choice voting, number 1, the use of ranked choice voting be optional for the City of Toronto. And number 2, the City of Toronto only be permitted to implement ranked choice voting after holding public consultations and a following referendum. Number 2, City Council requests the City Clerk to report back to City Council through the Executive Committee on any new Municipal Elections Act provisions and options for Council's consideration. And I bring this forward as a new member of Council, really with more questions than answers. Why did we request ranked balloting as a Council? What issues or problems are we attempting to address with ranked balloting? What structural imbalances currently exist within our electoral system that is so problematic that for our healthy civic democracy to flourish? But most importantly, what new problems and challenges are we going to create in this process? We don't know because we haven't given this issue its due course. The review we have asked the province to undertake is problematic for many reasons. One of the most troubling for me is the fact that the review looks only to city elections, not taking into consideration that at the same time that people are voting for their local councillor, they're voting for their local school trustee. This is not only very confusing, but it begs the question, why? Are trustees less important than councillors? Are they more trusted than councillors? Why the difference? This process has simply not been properly thought out. After 8 months being in council, being on the budget committee, listening to every director speak with respect to their departments, this city thrives on public consultation. Where was the public consultation in this process? Most importantly, this vote was taken at the end of a council mandate. Since then, almost 25% of councillors today are new. There's a new mandate. We need to provide the province with direction at the beginning of a new mandate, not at the end of a mandate. Before we go on a major spending campaign, education campaign, which would probably last forever, we need public consultation, and ultimately, the voters need to decide. Thank you very much.
Thank you. We do have some questions.
Sure.
Councilor Carroll, 3 minutes.
Well, Madam Speaker, I have questions on the motion, the removing of the rank provisions that Council's already voted on, but I'm wondering, is the councillor not aware that these municipal acts and municipal election acts do also govern school board elections, and that the school boards are also commenting on the review of these acts?
My understanding is the province is right now allowing the municipalities to perhaps undertake ranked balloting, but not provincial jurisdictions.
Right, but you're aware that the act here, that we don't need to worry about school boards because they are a municipal level of government. This act is for them too, and that they are doing their own consulting and presenting their own input to the review?
My understanding is the province has only said that the ranked balloting would be that municipalities would be given the choice. There's been no mention that school trustees would be on a ranked ballot system, and that's going to cause a lot of confusion. That's one of my issues with this whole topic. There are many, many issues with ranked balloting.
To the motion itself, I'm wondering why, in removing it, you left in the one thing that we don't do currently and rarely would do. In fact, I'm not even crazy about, which is referendum. Why are you leaving it there for that?
Well, I think ultimately it is such a fundamental change to the way we elect our public officials There's going to be a great cost to doing so. It's going to bring a lot of confusion, a constant education process to voting. The argument for disenfranchisement is greater than ever. I think the people of Toronto in the next ballot should be asked the question, do they want ranked balloting or not?
But you're aware that polling showed that, in fact, the public is very much in favor of it. Many of them are familiar with it through leadership conventions.
Councillor,
and
the only
party
polls,
politics
the
at
only
upper
polls
levels.
Councillor, the
And
only
in fact,
polls I look at are on election day.
So that's not really an answer to my question, Madam Speaker, but I don't think I'm going to get one because I don't think the question
Please
is really
ask.
understood.
I'll try to answer it.
Okay, clarification only of the motion.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to get any very clear at all.
Thank you. Councillor Berardinetti, clarification of the motion.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, through you. And Councillor, you're aware that BC did hold a referendum and in fact voted this down.
I wasn't aware of that.
Okay, so you may not have been aware that BC actually held this very referendum, and those residents who are quite progressive, I would say, almost like California, and they said, we don't want this confusing Democratic option. Right.
So, but it was a referendum.
It was a referendum. Right, but it was a referendum. That's the point.
Questions?
Yeah.
We got a debate going on.
And that councillors can ask that question. Second question is, in your experience when you're going door to door during the election, is it confusing? Do you ever get the question, who am I supposed to vote for in terms of mayor, trustee, councillor? So there is confusion out there about how they're voting during the election. Do you find that?
Yeah, my experience has been actually exactly that. It's people are busy in their lives. They have enough on their plate to decide who they're going to vote for with mayor and with councillor and trustee. It only puts more pressure and commitment on a voter to then have to go figure out who their second, third, fourth, fifth choice are. There's a lot of study that you can read. Actually, we've handed out the information to all the councillors that show the more complicated you make an election process, the more disenfranchised voters are with the process. We don't want to discourage people from voting. We want to include people into the voting process.
Right.
Now, what
with this
councillors
system, they
here,
could actually
sorry, let me
stay
just
home.
finish.
Okay,
What councillors here need to understand,
Clarification of the motion only, please.
I'm providing clarification.
No, I know, but we're getting into debate.
Okay, to take your question one step further, I believe the objectives of ranked balloting have been the issues that are in the first past the post process are being addressed in other areas of these reports that are going to the province in the Municipal Elections Act. We're doing a lot of things to address the issues around whether
Equality, access.
proper representation is
Right.
there.
Okay, thank you very much.
Councillor Karygiannis, clarification of the motion, 3 minutes.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm just wondering, are you aware, besides BC, any other jurisdiction that has held consultations about ranked balloting or different kinds of balloting?
I am. Many jurisdictions in the United States have had ranked balloting.
In Canada, please?
In Canada, I'm not aware of any other referendums other than if Canada was going to separate.
Would you remember
Quebec.
a few years ago under, I believe it was the Ontario government that held during an election some sort of referendum regarding ranked balloting and choices? Do you remember that?
I'm unaware of that, Councillor.
Would you also remember if that passed or it failed?
I wouldn't know that, Councillor.
Oh, okay. So so if I was to tell you that it failed, you wouldn't disagree with me?
Okay.
I wouldn't disagree with you.
I'm sorry, but it's clarification of the motion.
Clarification of the motion.
No, that's
Chair.
not clarification. You're asking, did you
Chair,
know,
can you
did
stop
you
my
know,
time,
did you
please?
know? That's not clarification.
Can you please stop my time?
Okay. Please continue.
Thank you. My other question is, what more would you want to see when you're saying, I mean, I don't have the motion, so I can't read it, and it hasn't been distributed.
Yes, it has.
Not yet. We
Oh,
haven't
no?
got time.
Okay,
We're
sorry.
getting there.
Sorry.
Would you be able to explain, please, what else would you want to see, and why are you moving this?
The reason why I move this forward is because I think there's a new council mandate. Every new council has the right to bring forward a mandate. That was the mandate of the old council. So I'd like this council, in light of the negotiations that are going to be happening at the province in the next few months, to actually tell the province what this council's mandate is. That's number one. And number two, I'm deeply concerned about creating an electoral process that's more confusing and more burdensome to the average voter, and the effects of disenfranchisement is too great.
Our ballot is big enough, and when you start putting more, people will get more confused, and especially people that don't speak the language and you immigrants, I'm sure you agree with me, will even get more confused when they see the ranking system and the ballots.
There's no doubt in a city with 200 languages that it's going to be a very expensive, burdensome, and confusing process to have a ranked ballot system here in Toronto. There's no doubt about it.
Do you feel that this ranking ballot might have an unfair advantage to others? I mean, to some people, or not?
It's interesting that you say that. In January of 2011, Lance Williams from California Watch, through a study he conducted, said low-income voters struggled with ranked choice voting. So it's certainly an issue.
Thank you. Councillor Mamalidi, 3 minutes, clarification.
So you're asking to what? Take out the recommendation of ranked balloting completely?
I'm just asking that this council bring forward its mandate to the province, and not that the province rely on a past council's mandate.
Right. So are you suggesting we get rid of this whack job recommendation?
Yes, in recommendation 1A, I'm asking that the province not proceed with amendments to the Municipal Elections Act with respect to ranked choice voting.
You know, my colleagues are laughing at, I guess, the term whack job, but that, at the end of the day, if you look at some of these motions, I'd categorize them all as whack job motions. Because it will take away from the good motion like this. Do you understand that if all these whack job motions come forward, the province is going to lose track of your motion? That's what's going to happen here, right? I think
It's certainly going to be a long process through the negotiation process with the province.
Right. So you're with this motion, you're going to the province and talking to them about what council would decide today, right? You're amongst one of the councillors that's going to go talk to them?
Correct. There's a 3-member panel of councillors here that will be negotiating with the province.
So what are you going to do when the province says, okay, I agree with this that the city has recommended, but what are all these other whack job motions that we shouldn't, like, what are you going to say to them when they say, Councillor Ainsley wants this body to decide on who sits on it and not the electorate, right? When we take up 7 hours of debate because somebody doesn't like the tone of voice that I have and I want to boot them out of office. That's really what this is about. What are you going to say to the province then? That, I don't like your tone. That these whack job motions were from my whack job councillors and they should all just go and whack.
Councillor Mamalidi, hold on. I've got your time on
You
hold.
agree with me?
Councillor Mamalidi, okay.
Councillor, my job is simply
Councillor
to
Ciano,
bring
there's a point of order.
wishes to the table. My job is simply to bring council's wishes to the table when it comes to negotiations.
Councillor Ciano, there's a point of order here. Okay. Councillor Carroll.
Madam Speaker, I'm just asking that you remind the councillor that these are just questions of clarification of the one whack job motion, not the entire process.
Okay, so can you just ask the question on the one whack one? And forget the rest of the whack ones. Okay.
The reality is rank balloting, okay, was pushed by a group